So I wanted to share a trip with you that I went on with my daughter. She is a content creator, and she was on a trip with Benefit Cosmetics, and I was tagged along to do photos. I'm her plus one, and I do the candids and all that kind of stuff for the event, which I love doing. Our first flight was delayed an hour, so our next flight was a 6-hour layover in Chicago, and then a straight into Whistler. Um, into Vancouver, and then a 2.5 hour drive into Whistler, which was not fun at all. But it was a long, long day because of this, and all of it could have been prevented if the United people did what they were supposed to do. This is our balcony from our hotel room. It was at the Four Seasons, which is absolutely spectacular. Food was just okay, but the digs were amazing. Now, this is going to the first event that we were able to go to, which was the bobsledding. And that's done with an M camera. Yes, you can shoot sports with an M camera. Yeah, you're going to get some misses, but you get used to it, and you'll be able to get a lot more hits than misses. Anyways, beautiful location. I was freezing because I'm in sneakers, little short socks, and a light coat because all my heavy gear was in my luggage, which, really blew, but what can you do? Made it work. I wasn't that bad. It was actually a decent, beautiful day in Whistler, and it wasn't that cold, so I got through it okay. And these are just some of the candids. For this, I used the 28 millimeter Ultron by Voigtlander. Love that lens. It was absolutely spectacular. No issues whatsoever with it. Now, this is the event after later that night, and this was, the shock that they're all outside drinking and eating. I had to get over, but again, sneakers and light coat, but it was fun. Anyway, the Ultron is absolutely amazing on the M. The 28, it's a beautiful lens, absolutely spectacular. I think it's the version 2, but it really is a beautiful, beautiful lens. If you're looking for that 28 and don't want to spend on the Summicron, because I know the Summicron's $6,000-$7,000 now for the 28, because it's really that good. But this lens, it killed it. It was beautiful. I did switch over to the 50 for a couple shots, the 50 Summilux, but not that many. And these are the images. They come out beautiful. Very little editing on these at all. A lot of them are straight out of camera. Maybe I bumped the contrast a little bit. Color I set to cloudy for the white balance, so I wouldn't have to worry about it. And I was really happy with the outcome. So, and with these events, you got to get as many people in, for your deliverables as possible that attend, because everybody wants to be seen in these photos. And if, some of these creators go to the photo page and don't see themselves, they'd be upset, and it's your fault. So, try to get as many as you can, at least 2 images with everybody in them. Of course, I have a lot more of my daughter because she's my daughter. But anyway, that's my only advice for shooting events like this is, just make sure you get everybody in, at least 2 images, and you'll be okay. More if possible. But anyway, now as the night got darker, I got colder because my light clothing. Oh, this is when our suitcase finally showed up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, this is them getting ready for snowboarding lessons, and others took skiing lessons. I was supposed to be on a helicopter ride at this point, but because of the snow, I couldn't go on the helicopter. So here I am trekking along with the people that are getting snowboarding lessons, but I had my winter clothes, so I was fine. It was, actually very comfortable. And I shot with just thin gloves, and I have no complaints. And shooting a Leica M with gloves on is not a big deal at all. It's actually fun. I had no problems with it. I used the Wotancraft bag. That's the one I took with me because it can handle this kind of situation without a problem. The bag was covered in snow and soaking wet, and the gear stayed completely dry, and I loved it. And it's a lightweight bag, but really great material. Now, these were all done with the Voigtlander 90mm 2.8. I really, really love this lens. It was a little bit more difficult to focus because of all the white, the snow and the glare and the snow coming down. So it was a little harder to focus with the rangefinder in this situation, but it did really, really well. And I did. I'm completely happy with it. I mean, I loved shooting with it. This is just us getting hot chocolate at the end and walking back to the hotel. It was fantastic. Anyway, the last event here, I'm using that Leica SF 24D flash. Now, I could have used another flash, but the ceilings are black, so I'm not going to bounce or anything like that. I use direct flash. I use the diffuser on it, the wide angle diffuser, just to diffuse the flash a little bit, and the photos come out beautiful. For this, I'm using the 50 millimeter Summilux. I did have the 28. I threw it on maybe once or twice, but most of these were done with the 50 Summilux, and I shot at f4 the entire time, so I have people in focus. And even some of the smaller groups, you'll start edging out focus even at f4. But the flash did a fantastic job. I think I had two missed, where they were either blown out because of the flash mist or they were underexposed a little bit. But that TTL with the M camera is spectacular, and I can see why it's such a popular flash. It's been discontinued for so long now, but it's so lightweight. The batteries lasted the entire event. I just shot, didn't think about it, had it on TTL, and I loved it. It's so rare to be able to shoot a whole event with TTL. It was fabulous. I didn't have to think. I just had to focus and push the button. And I was happy with the photos. So, and now that flash is outrageously expensive on eBay. I mean, they're going for $600, $700, $800. But when you see this kind of work with it and how well it did, it's almost worth it. Now, this is our flight home. I get to work on the plane. I loved editing on the plane because they have an actual outlet that I can plug the iPad into and not worry about power. So I got all my editing done on the way home because it was 5.5 hour flight. And there's my daughter sleeping on the way home.